Shaku Maku, everybody. It's a fine Saturday morning in the city of Lagos and everywhere you may be. It's fantastic to be on Pinpoint this morning, and we have a special edition this morning because we have an eminent personality with us who is joining us via Skype. But first and foremost, you can join the conversation on WhatsApp 08095975805. You can go to Twitter at Nigeria Info FM, Nigeria Info, your number one talk, news and sports station. And I'm sure a number of you are wondering what exactly is happening this morning. But let me first and foremost introduce our guest for today's episode of Pinpoint, who is Ameenah Gurib-Fakim, who is the former president of the Republic of Mauritius. Her Excellency is also a biodiversity scientist. She was president of Mauritius from 2015 to 2018, the first woman to be elected as president of Mauritius. Great to have you join us on Pinpoint this fine Saturday morning, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for having me. Excellent. I hear it's about 10 a.m. in Mauritius right now.
Absolutely, and you're a very early bird at 7 in the morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We do wake up very early in this part of the world. The beat never stops in Lagos, and great to have you join us as a family in Nigeria Info. We look forward to any of these days you step into Nigeria. We'll open our doors for you and treat you some fine Nigerian hospitality.
I've experienced this in the past, and I have so many Nigerian friends, so it's a great opportunity to say hello to all of them.
All right, and I'm sure they're all listening because we talked about this for several hours, and you know we're very glad to have you join us. And the matter we're talking about today it's a big one. The MV Wakashio, which collided with a coral reef in July, 25th of July this year, spilling 1,000 tons. The oil spill didn't happen until a week after, and Nigeria and everyone who's watched all those horrific videos over the last couple of weeks have been really concerned because Nigeria has also had its fair share, a more than fair share of oil spill and the disasters that have happened in loss of human lives and more importantly also to the environment. I've seen protests happen in Port Louis, the capital of Mauritius, in the last couple, I think it was last weekend, I did see those protests, and I did see, sadly, the dolphins. I understand about 40 in all dolphins, scores of dolphins found, investigations still going on exactly what happened, whether they've died as a result of the oil spill. But first and foremost, give us what the state of affairs is in Mauritius now with this disaster. I understand it's the worst disaster in the history of Mauritius' ecological life cycle.
Thank you. I think you have captured the major points, but I think I would just like to highlight again that this ship, I think, reached our territorial waters at least on the 23rd of July, crashed on the 25th, and we started seeing the spill as from the 6th of August. As you have rightly said, it's the biggest ecological disaster we have experienced, and it is not an act of God, it's man-made. And it is something that I feel could have been avoided had we been proactive and taken the right decision. But anyway, we are where we are. And we have, I think the last estimate we have is over 300,000 gallons of this oil, which has been leaked into our pristine waters. And it couldn't have come at a worse place because it has leaked in one of our marine parks. And this marine park houses some of the unique species on this planet. And it is next to an islet, which to us is a symbol of conservation. And for people who may not know, we are one of the biodiversity hotspots in the world. Right. And this islet has been housing animals and bird species, which we have restored in its state. And unfortunately, the whole world knows Mauritius for its dodo, which has gone extinct a long time ago. But people may not know so much the conservation work that we have done in restoring some of the unique bird species which are found there and nowhere else. So this Wakashio crash is going to reverse over 30 years of conservation effort. And God knows how expensive that is and how painstaking it is, because so many people have dedicated their whole career in safeguarding this species. So this is where we are as we speak.
Right, and we're going to unravel and open up the discussion a lot along these lines. In case you just joined the conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info, we have an exclusive interview here today with the former president of Mauritius, Ameenah Gurib-Fakim, and we're looking at the ecological disaster that's played out in Mauritius, horrendous. I've listened to your initial reactions when this happened, and help us understand why there's so much anger on the streets in Mauritius on how this has been handled by the government.
You know, the anger has been brewing for a while, because this anger, people actually came on the street last Saturday. Again, it's the premiere in our country, because I think the police record is that over 150,000 people were on the street, and that's over around 12% of the population. They were out there, and what they were speaking for is many things. Amongst them is nepotism, is cronyism, it's corruption, and I think in the delay in handling this crisis, because as I have said, it's taken 12 days for a decision to be taken. By that time, of course, it was too late. But I think what was the straw that broke the camel's back was precisely seeing these animals coming dead, floating and, of course, reaching the coast. And they were not just dolphins; they were also whales. And now with the power of digital era, with the power of multimedia, people could actually see the dolphins and the mothers dying in the ocean. And that was unacceptable. You know why people have a special relation with the dolphins is that, it forms part of the fishermen's and the livelihoods of these people. People, when they come on a visit to Mauritius, the tourists, right, they can actually go and swim with the dolphins. They can actually go and have a picnic for the whole day on a yacht or ship, whatever it is, and be in the company of these dolphins. So these dolphins were our friends. And to see them dying because of this spill, I think has been really the straw that broke the camel back. And this is what...
Very, very unfortunate. Especially, I can imagine from your point of view as a biodiversity scientist, and I got a background also in environmental sciences. I understand biodiversity to talk about what the uses of the resources, the water, on the land are for today, as well as for tomorrow, because we don't know what happens tomorrow with these resources. So it's our responsibility and our duty to protect it. I understand Mauritius has some of the most diverse sort of resource you can find in the ocean. I'm thinking about the Indian Ocean now and wondering, in the immediate, we may not exactly understand the impact this has, but what are the things you're going through your mind now when you think about the oil spill and the damage it's done for today and also most likely also in the future?
Very nice question. And, I'm going to speak here. I'm going to wear my hat of chemist. And just like you, I'm also a scientist, as you have said. This oil that has been spilled, it's a very new oil. It's what the people call a very low sulfur fuel oil, VLSFO. And interestingly, the shipping industry, they still haven't done the entire assessment of what this oil will do when it gets spread in tropical warmer waters. And it's exactly what has happened. It has spilled, and as you know, this oil will get split into finer particles by virtue of sunlight, of course, with the UV light, and we still don't know what the impact is going to. They still don't know what the impact is like in colder waters, and less so in the warmer waters. So we are really, literally, sorry to use the pun again, at sea, because we don't know what's going to be the environment impact. The immediate impact, of course, is oil washing up the dark oil. I've seen that when I...
Okay, Your Excellency, sorry, it looks like we have some connection issues here. Okay, we'll try and reconnect. We'll try and reconnect with Her Excellency, former President of Mauritius, Ameenah Gurib-Fakim. But so far she's been giving us information on exactly how this has happened in Mauritius. The MV Wakosio oil spill, which began, struck the coral reef sometime in July, and then afterwards took about a week while the government was trying to manage this and make sure that good. All right, Your Excellency, we're back. Sorry, we lost connection with you at that point. You're telling us about your thoughts in terms of what the future portends for the Indian Ocean and the new type of oil that was spilled.
Well, I think we're going to make a rallying call to the regulators. We're going to make a rallying call to the owners of that ship. And we are also going to call to the country, the institution of that country where the ship was actually registered, which is Panama, because we are talking increasingly of flags of convenience. But more importantly, we're going to ask questions to the IMO, because this ship that was carrying that oil was a single hulk ship. And I think the minimum that the regulators can do is to ask these companies, and this one here is a Japanese company, to use at least a double hull. So if there is an accident, we can assure that the spill will not be there. So these are questions we have, yes.
Right. I understand the Japanese government is carrying out some investigation. I also know Mauritius is signed on to, like several countries, to a number of international protocols in terms of what happens when you have a spill, in terms of resettlement and all of that. Help us understand how this works and whether in any way it does compensate for the damages that have happened at present.
You know, when it comes to compensation, when it comes to claims, you know how sticky this gets because it goes to the court of law. But I think we are calling on the moral authority of these institutions, of these countries, because, as I've said earlier on, this is not a God's act. Yeah. This is man-made. So we're going to ask for the culprits to pay. Now, you've mentioned that Japanese are, doing the survey. Yeah. I would call for a panel of independent scientists to do the survey. And I want this to be done with independent science, because we want to know the full impact on the coral reef, and we want to know the full impact on the sea life, but also we're going to ask for study and survey in the middle to long term, because this is not going to go away just yet. And then, of course, when it comes to claims, it all depends on the conventions that the country has signed and ratified, because we're going to have to rest on what has been done before. But I think we are looking at an industry, a shipping industry, which of course has turnover on trillions of dollars. And we know that the cleanup operation for this place here is going to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And I don't see why the Mauritian taxpayers has to pay. And already, if you look at the way this cleaning up has happened over the past month, 40 days, we have seen these poor fishermen with the means on board, the locals actually making these booms with straws. And we should, the country should have deployed the best scientists, the best equipment, the best of everything to clean up fast enough. And again, I don't know how much, because I'm talking about independent science, how much collection has happened on the fish, on the sea life, on everything, so that we can establish an entire database, so that we can do all the genomics, so that when it comes to claims in the court of law, the data and the facts are going to stand up the scrutiny. So I don't know whether all this has happened.
Really painful. Several of our listeners, by the way, this is being streamed live on Facebook, so you can watch Her Excellency Ameenah Gurib-Fakim talk about a lot of what is going on here. And, in Nigeria, we have a lot of similar problems. There was a spill in the Ogoni land, which is in the southern part of the country. And we had the United Nations environmental program come in, and they did a examination of the area. And the pollution that happened there is going to take us several years, scores of years to fix. Even up till now, there's still no headway in getting that done. And this is because of the oil that's been spilled by the oil majors. What are your thoughts? I've had people compare what happened in Sri Lanka, which is just, along the coast with, and the international effort that has gone into that one. And then look at Mauritius and Nigeria, for example, in Africa. And it's taken so long to get the remedial efforts in place. Is it a different rule for a different people. Well, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I have been following a great deal what has happened in Nigeria for a long time now. I have followed also what happened to Ken Saro-Wiwa in the Niger Delta, and his fight precisely to get, to speak to these authorities at the time. And of course, we know what happened to him. And so I think that here again, we will need the expertise of Nigerian institutions who can also help us, because as you have rightly said, you have been living with this for so long. And again, what you have mentioned also, what happened in Sri Lanka, it also makes you wonder, because the ship was also flying Panama flag. And we saw what happened in Beirut, what happened there, again, more or less the same sort of thing. So, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder how long this is going to go. Because one thing that decides policymakers or politicians around the world have not understood is that by systematically destroying our planet, we are short-circuiting our own livelihoods on this planet. This is something that people don't seem to understand. And so we fully empathize with what happened in Nigeria, and we hope there will be more collaboration between Nigerian institutions, because you have had all the experience in the world. This has been going on for so many years, and we just hope that we can work together and bring all the best that we have together and see the light of day at the end of this.
Let's backtrack a little. You talked about what people were going through in terms of the impact in the immediate. Fishermen, I've seen videos of fishermen trying to help in the cleanup. I mean, this is their entire livelihood just going, zip before them, and cannot even do anything about it. Help us understand how this has impacted people who live around, and make their livelihoods from around the Indian Ocean, where your country is.
On the 7th of August, I went down there because I heard that the oil has started spilling overnight. And I had a chat to the fishermen, and I could see terror in their eyes. Terror, why? Because, the tourism industry brings 24% to our GDP. And as we emerge out of the COVID, the country has been closed, the country is still closed, and they have seen their livelihoods eroding, but they have had some kind of little bit of the stimulus package that the government has put at disposal, but it's of course very small, because, these people were doing quite well when they were, of course, living off the tourism industry. And now the first question they asked me, Madam, how long do we have to wait till the sea to become pristine again as it was before? So I had to be, kind. But I didn't want to be cruel, because I could have said up front that it will take years. But I said it will take a few months. But you know what the fisherman said, ma'am? It is not going to take months. It's going to take years. So I see the terror in their eyes. And precisely during the COVID era, we have had to look at those operating in the informal sector, because these are the sectors which are really badly impacted. And here I have a special thought to women, because women operate more in the informal sector, be it in Nigeria, be it across Africa. And we know that 80% of the job right across the continent, they are held in the informal sector, and women have a very key role to play. And here we see the livelihoods eroding away. So what do we do? What do we say to these people? They are the first victims of the calamity of this size.
The first victims, and I'm sure they're thinking along the lines. Help us also understand, Your Excellency. I know for many years you've been to Addis Ababa, the African Union, met the African leaders, and talk about exactly what it is. 24% of GDP is huge, and together with several African countries who have to depend on tourism. But before we get into what the African tourism sector faces, COVID, and then this like a double whammy because of what has happened with the oil spill, MV Wakasio. What would you say the African Union has done right or not done right with regards to the ecological disaster that's hit Mauritius?
I think what we would, we have had the support of the African Union at many instances. And the last one, they did help us with, of course, when we decided to take, at least the government decided to take the Chagos issue to the United Nations. And the African Union has been very prompt in providing us with their support. But here, I think what we're going to ask the African Union to start doing is to start calling these institutions, call them to own up to these kind of really act, or call the regulators to do the job. And we are looking at a sector which is a very powerful sector, and we are a very small island, very small economy. We don't have the same weight in terms of addressing this. But having said this, SDG 14 is about ocean. And we know that two big countries, they are actually the co-chaired, for example, the Ocean Conference. And we're talking about Norway and Japan. And so, how does a country like Mauritius sit at the same table as these very big operators? And this is, I think, what we call for the support of the African Union, so that because what happened to Mauritius can happen tomorrow in Lamu, outside Kenya, can also happen again in Nigeria.
Very true.
And we ask their support so as to, call these people to really own up to what has happened, and also to really do the job of regulators. We are also asking the countries where these flags of convenience are registered to actually do something about it. Because, the MV Wakashio has never been to Panama in his 13 years lifetime. So how can a ship of that size, it's the size of an aircraft carrier, it's among the 1% of the biggest ship which has been built on this planet. How come a ship like this, of this size, never visits Panama and yet is registered there? So we ask the African Union to start looking into this.
And unfortunately, lives are also being lost. We understand the tugboat incident happened where at least two rescue workers lost their lives. It's really unfortunate, but it brings me to the point of exactly how the Mauritius Authority is handling the cleanup of the entire thing. You satisfied with the way it's being done to protect lives, especially of the responders? Yeah.
We've lost three seamen, and we have the captain is still missing. And this is precisely the tugboat hit, of course, the part of the salvage team. And so we haven't got the body of that captain just yet. The short answer to your question is, am I happy with the way this has been handled? The short answer is no. Because I will tell you why. For the whole 42 days since that happened, we haven't had one official communique from the authorities to tell us what they're going to do, how they're proceeding. There has been total opacity around this. So we're asking questions, we're not getting answers, and all that we're hearing is bits of information here and there that the Japanese have been diving and examining our coral reef. Come on. I mean, you can't have Japanese divers giving us an idea of what the state of our coral reef. We are going to ask for an independent panel of researchers, be it from Nigeria, be it from America, be it from France, because Réunion is next door, from all parts of the world to come. We want this disaster to be underpinned with independent science. It's only then that we are going to be comforted that whatever decision has been taken in the interest of the environment, has been taken in the interest of the people whose livelihoods depend on this part of the world, on this industry.
When you reflect, because you also been in the politics also too, so there's almost no issue you have that happens that you don't have the political side to the debate. Has politics interfered with national interest in Mauritius and how this is being viewed, opposition versus the government in power, trying to resolve a situation which apparently looks that it's overwhelming them?
Now with the power of media, we learned, I think yesterday or the day before, that there has been a letter which has been sent making a claim for $34 million in terms of, so-called compensation. Now, this has been translated into the purchase of ships, for vessels for the fishermen. But nobody has mentioned anything about cleaning. And as I've said, this is going to cost us hundreds of millions of dollars. And again, I will say it again, I do not see why the taxpayers have to pay for this when you're talking about an industry that is making trillions of turnover every year.
Absolutely. All right, Your Excellency, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll look a little at how this is impacting the African economy and tourism. And I'm sure you'd also want to interact with some of Nigerian listeners also too, so you can have a feel and we can compare notes. Thank you very much. We'll take a quick break, Your Excellency. And we're back on Pinpoint on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Please stay with us.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this.
.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
All right, welcome back. And we still have Her Excellency, Ameenah Gurib-Fakim, former president of the Republic of Mauritius. Great to have you still with us on Pinpoint. And thank you for your busy schedule. You've been able to squeeze out time for us for this interview. And of course, to educate our several listeners. I'll just ask you a question and I can get maybe one or two calls because I understand you have a lot of things to get back to. So, $55 billion, we understand. The African Union says that the tourism industry and travel industry in the continent has suffered because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm thinking of those numbers and then crunching them together with what has happened with the Wakashio ecological disaster in Mauritius, and thinking about the country. You say 24% of its GDP comes from the tourism and travel industry. What are your thoughts in terms of economic impact?
Well, the economic impact, I think already we are going to suffer the brunt of the COVID, because already that has impacted the industry fairly badly, as I said, with the closure of the country now for almost 6 months. But I think right across the continent, the estimates are that the economy of sub-Saharan Africa will contract by at least 10%. At least 10% by virtue of the COVID. And now for us, if you add to this another layer of the Wakashio, the oil spill, we're going to see a contraction of our economy as well. There's no doubt about that. But of course, what the immediate fallout is going to be is loss of jobs. And loss of jobs in a sector which employs so many people, especially in the informal sector around the country. And people are already feeling the brunt of the loss of their jobs right now. So now if you're going to lose further livelihoods because of this oil spill, so we're looking at very uncertain days ahead.
Very, very tough days ahead. So I'm going to just take in two calls. We can just hear the listeners ask questions or comment basically on what many of the issues you've talked about are very similar with what we're facing in Nigeria also too. 0700 993 993 993. I guess you already have the numbers, so here we go. Hello and good morning.
Sir.
Great. Good morning.
Shaku Maku.
Hi, Makushi.
My president, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. When you were speaking, I see leadership quality in you. I want to thank you for that. I see you as a person who have the feeling of the masses of Mauritius. And my president, I'm sorry to say this, that is my dream country. I want to settle down. Chief Oboh,
Yes, sir.
You remember Kobani?
Yes, I do.
The Kansari was, I think the Ogoni 9, right?
The Ogoni 9, yes.
Yeah, and the presidency mentioned something about Ogoni. Today, back home here, they leave Ogoni people to their fate. Madam, we have the biggest gas plant in Africa, in my locality, operated by Ajib. That thing is telling on my people, but nobody cares. The Ogoni clean up, the politicians come up. Oh, we want to clean Ogoni. Everybody was clapping for them. Madam, as I'm speaking with you today, they leave Ogoni people to their fate. Is it the water? Is it the land? And you come to Lagos here, Ajib, Chevron, Jeep, Ajib, yeah, Chevron and Shell. All of them are in Lagos here, living a very large life. Leave my people to their fate.
All right,
and we have government.
All right, Chief Christopher.
Thank you for your leadership quality, man. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take one more call. And please, just a minute so Her Excellency can respond as quickly as possible.
What was the question? I didn't quite get the question.
Well, it was just a comment. He was just praising your efforts and everything. Oh, hello, good morning. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm brilliant. So we have Her Excellency, the former president of Mauritius, Ameenah Gurib-Fakim. Very quickly, please.
Your Excellency, good morning.
All right, she can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Darlington speaking.
All right, Darlington, quickly, please.
From what she said, I can see the politics of nations, marine politics, and the economic protection playing out here. You can see what they are doing in Syria and Lebanon. And why can't they treat Africa the same way? And it tells a lot about African leaders. We don't seem to value our people. I am very sure that if any other shipping line should try this in U.S., by now you would have seen the reaction of Donald Trump.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Darlington. And a great point they make also in terms of the unity of the African continent.
Sorry?
I said a great point they make about the unity of the African continent not exactly being there in tackling these sort of issues.
No, but we need coherence there. We need unity because these issues affect us. It has affected us. But, you know, this is where we are in front of a huge lobby, of a huge industry that has really big muscles. How can we fight unless we are united together?
Right.
And then we can have a common front, a common approach.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Right. So finally, Your Excellency, I have just one question for you, which is about women in politics and women in leadership in the African continent. You're the first woman president in the Republic of Mauritius. And then just a handful of them. I remember Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in Liberia. There was Banda for a brief period of time in Central African Republic. What are your thoughts in terms of women in leadership? I know you're very passionate about this and what it means for Africa going forward.
I will just put the women leadership within the COVID era. We have seen that the countries that did so well in terms of handling the COVID pandemic, they were countries that were mostly led by women. So I think women bring in a different narrative. We bring in a different way in different leadership style. And I think women have to be given this opportunity because, you know, we bring in a different mindset altogether to the political world. We're much more caring, we communicate better, you know, we have seen that right across. But I think more importantly, women tend to listen. And we saw that those leaders who were listening to the science, they were the one who could take decisions and get it right. And also, we have also seen in terms of lapses, had this pandemic been taken at the level of the United Nations Security Council and declared, you know, a pandemic there and then, maybe we wouldn't be seeing that today. We didn't see the running call. We were very keen on apportioning blame, you know, where this virus came from, this, that, and the other, but we didn't take that decision head on. And I think that the continent especially will not make headway up until we take on board the 52% that the women folks represent on this continent. It's only then that I keep saying in a very cliche manner, a bird cannot fly with one wing.
Absolutely. Bird cannot fly with one wing. A great way to end the conversation on Pinpoint with you, Your Excellency. Ameenah Gurib-Fakim, former president of the Republic of Mauritius. It's been great speaking with you.
Thank you so much, and all the best, and have a great day.
Yes, and we look forward to welcoming you into Nigeria anytime you have the opportunity to fly in. Thank you very much, ma'am.
And a special hello to my friends right across Nigeria. It's great to have you as friends. Great people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. And so we are done with the interview. The former president of the Republic of Mauritius. And I'm sure you can see a number of you calling in messages, see that we can compare and contrast and see that the African continent has a lot to do. And it does make sense, especially when we think of the environment and the way she talks about we can make the environment a lot better. I'll take a quick break. I come back, I'm taking some calls from you until the end of the show. Please stay with us on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'll be right back.